Let's get close and cozy and talk about mental health and depression. Some of the symptoms with depression is you're not just sad. If you are sad, there's not just a reason why you're sad. Oh, you got in a fight with your spouse. Oh, they don't love you. A family member just passed away, or I just lost my job, or this and that. My friend is struggling and I can't help them. All of that is sad. All that's rough. And it can trigger depression, but it's not just that. And maybe you do feel temporary situational depression, as I call it, in those situations. Totally legit feelings and nothing wrong with that. But you don't just feel sad depression for any single specific reason most of the time. You feel whole sadness for a lot of reasons or for no reasons at all. You just feel completely sad. And if you don't live with or are around somebody who understands and knows this, then the way they support you probably won't help, or you probably won't even tell them, and then there's just frustration. Why are you acting weird? Why are you so down? Why can't you be happy? It just makes it worse because they don't understand. They don't support you, or they can't even hug you and say, everything's gonna be okay, we'll get through this together. I'm not just talking about like a partner. I'm talking about all of family, even friends. And so you can be sad, completely wholly sad, but you can also feel alone, inadequate, tired a lot, sleep a lot, no motivation, like you're a failure, like why does this always happen? No spirit to follow your goals, lack of interest in things you enjoy doing, and a lot of things can trigger or nothing can trigger it. It just happens. And without the support of somebody who knows what you're living with and dealing with, it's even harder. And it makes some of those feelings like loneliness, inadequate, feeling unloved or unaccepted 10 times worse. It really does. And when you go through a spiral and you feel alone and all of those feelings are so drastically deep, you cry or you curl up into a ball in your room, lights off in the dark, or you can't eat, or you overeat and you make yourself feel sick because you try to comfort yourself. You use drugs or alcohol, or you physically hurt yourself, you cut yourself, all because you don't want to feel inadequate, because you want an escape, because it's too hard to confront yourself, to confront the feelings, to get through them alone. And I think that's why a lot of people with depression harm themselves. And then when somebody finds out you abused alcohol or you abused drugs, you cut yourself, or why did you punch that brick wall? It's because they don't understand that you are facing this never-ending issue alone. You want support, but you don't know how to ask for it. You want them to acknowledge and be by your side, but you don't know how to explain it to them. A therapist knows based off textbooks, based off lectures and teachings of professors, but do they know what it feels like? Do they know what it feels like to have serious suicidal thoughts that you know the place you want to go, you know how you want to do it, you know you want to tell your family and you firmly believe they'll be okay with it eventually. Do they know what's going through your mind when you're thinking thoughts like that? It feels a lot more complex than just a chemical imbalance in your brain. Having support won't make it better, but pairing the support with other options like medication, like therapy, like reading books that will help, not having to live alone, just a combination of things will drastically help it. And when you're in a dark pit or a depressive spiral like I am, you need to recognize that things will improve eventually, even though it doesn't feel like it. And not having the support is the hardest thing, and that's what's making it worse for me right now. So finding the courage and learning how to speak to your partner or your family or your friends about supporting you, about what you're going through and dealing with, and that it's not just being sad and it's not just temporary, is extremely important, and I think it will benefit you maximally. Just knowing you won't ever have to face it alone again, just that simple thought in itself can drastically change the way you confront your depression and anxiety and make you feel so much more comfortable and safe when you begin the spiral, if you ever do, or just in case you have a small depressive episode. Right now, my advice to you is learn how to explain it to your partner or your family or your friends and what their support ultimately means to you and how much it can help you. But on top of that, I think it's extremely important to visit a therapist and or visit a doctor and help balance those chemicals in your brain at least a little bit better. Because I don't want any of you to harm yourselves. I don't want any of you to contemplate suicide. Life is more meaningful than that, even though it doesn't feel like it. Even though I'm currently in a place where I feel all of those negative feelings, where I'm feeling very lonely, like an absolute fuck up. When you have depression, oftentimes you reflect heavily on your past, and you tend to cling on to your biggest failures or your biggest mistakes. Those cause your depression to spike. And so right now I'm reflecting on the past, and I just spent the last 15 minutes laying in bed, lights off, hood on, crying for no reason and for every reason. Like a lot of things feel like they're going wrong right now, and the thought of either accepting them and living with them or trying to ignore them and overcome them both feel very heavy, and neither seems easy.